Set the car in neutral and apply the parking brake. Next, let's remove the shift knob. Go ahead and pull this piece down to expose the clip behind it. Go ahead and remove that clip. And then you can pull this up. Go ahead and put this clip back on so you don't lose it. And set this aside. Next, let's remove this panel right here underneath the screen. Go ahead and lift up. Go ahead and remove the screw right here in the middle. So you can pull this panel out forward. There's going to be a total of 3 connections behind here. Go ahead and undo them. This one, this one, and lastly that one. Go ahead and remove 2 screws here, 1 and 2. And pull this panel forward. You'll notice that down here, there's these 2 clips that are holding it in place. So pull upwards. Or what you can also do is push down on the bottom panel from here. And then this will come out. Remove this one right here. It has a pink band. It will connect down here. Remove this. And then this is the panel you just push down underneath it. You can go ahead and pull this one out. And then disconnect it from here. So this one just pushes down because of these 2 clips, and then you pull it outwards down here. Let's go ahead and remove this panel right here. 2 screws. And 2. And then this panel just comes out towards you. Once you pull it out, make sure that the air vent, if it got pulled out, just snap it back into place. here too. So that's it. Let's go ahead and remove this metal bracket right here. Four screws. Next, let's remove the OEM monitor. Go ahead and pull forward. And then you'll disconnect the connectors behind the monitor. There's this one. Two. Then you have these guys right here. The number of connections back here will vary based on the features of the car. So if you need to, please take a picture of it so you know which connectors you were working with. Screen is removed. We'll work with this in a little bit. Go ahead and remove the last two screws down there so we can pull the radio unit forward. That's one. And that's two. Go ahead and use a pillow to protect your panel beneath, so that way nothing gets scratched underneath it. Pull the radio out. And just rest it on the pillow for now. Next, let's go ahead and open up the screen. Go ahead and use this plastic protector just to protect the screen from any scratches while you're working on it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the two screws here that are for the bracket. That's one. That's two. Three. Four. Remember the position of this bracket, the black part here is towards the top of the monitor. Go ahead and set that aside. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 screws to remove, so go ahead and proceed with that. Alright, now that all 14 screws are removed, you're going to go ahead and lift up the back plate. Be careful because on this side there is a fan connected to the back side of the plate. So gently pull up, start from this side, and then make your way over onto this side. Here's that fan, here's that connector. Go ahead and disconnect it from here, and then you can set this aside. Now let's work with these ribbon cables right here. There's 1, 2, and 3 ribbon cables to work with. Go ahead and gently lift up this tab right here with your finger. Don't use any tools. The tab is delicate, so gently lift up, and then you can remove this ribbon cable. That's one. This one right here. Lift up this tab right here. Apply pressure from underneath the tab with your 2 fingers to lift it up, and then you can gently pull this ribbon cable out. That's 2. And then lastly is this one. Same thing, a little black tab. Push up, and then pull this ribbon cable out. So 1, 2, and 3 are out. There is this one screw right here in the middle that we'll remove. And then there's a Bluetooth antenna right here. Be careful with it. You can either lift up this DCU board, flip it over here and leave that connected, or you can disconnect it. So I'm just gonna disconnect it for you, like that. And then go ahead and again, if you had the Bluetooth antenna connected, just flip it over like that, or just simply set it aside. And now we're ready to work inside of the monitor. Alright, let's begin the installation with the subboard. First, let's check the subboard. These cables should already be connected for you, and if they're not, go ahead and connect them. We have the cable that's labeled LVDS connected to the port here. This port also is labeled LVDS, so you can't get that confused. Next is the sub data cable. Sub data cable 6-pin will connect to this port here in the middle, and then the sub power cable will connect to this port here. Do keep in mind that these both are 3 pins, so they can be swapped. Don't swap them. Make sure this one is connected to this port and this one is connected to that port, and make sure they're firmly in there. Again, with this one you want to make sure that it's in all the way and that the notches line up with the holes up here. If it's not, you're gonna have issues with the screen. So now that that's in, let's go ahead and connect this ribbon cable right here. We have the little skinny one. Blue side up. Doesn't matter which side you use, but always blue side up. Go ahead and insert that in here. And then push down on the black tab. That's how it should look like. This one's a little bit crooked, so let me fix it. That's better. So basically those dotted lines should line up with the tab. Next, let's go ahead and fold this over. Go ahead and put this on. This one will go on like that. Route this ribbon cable through this opening right here. And then we have 3 holes right here. Okay, so next go ahead and grab your subboard. Go ahead and lift this tab up. We're going to connect the ribbon cable right here. So go ahead and gently insert it into this port right here. Once you hear it slightly click, go ahead and push down on this tab. And this is what it should look like. You should see kind of like a barcode just barely peeking out like that. Okay, so now that that's in there, go ahead and route this ribbon cable through this hole right here. Let's go ahead and connect this one to this port right here. Insert it all the way in, and then push down on the tab. That's what it should look like. The white line should line up perfectly with the black tab. Okay, so now that those are in, let's go ahead and put in these three plastic rivets. I'm just separating them to make it easier for me. And then go ahead and put this in here to secure it. 2 and 3. Now that these guys are in, now that these three guys are in, go ahead and let's work with this ribbon cable right here. So just go ahead and insert the blue end in here. Make sure that the notches line up right here on the side, and go ahead and clip it down. Let me fix this. The dotted lines should line up perfectly with the black tab. Alright, so now that we have these ribbon cables connected, we have our three cables connected in here and a plastic rivet. Let's go ahead and put the original board back on. Be mindful of the Bluetooth antenna right here. Let's go ahead and reconnect this Bluetooth antenna so we don't forget about it. Go ahead and route that cable for the Bluetooth antenna back in here. Let's go ahead and screw this back on. And let's put these ribbon cables back into place. Let's start with this one right here. This one just folds over, goes into this port. Sides will line up with the notches here and clip down, so you'll barely see the dotted line underneath the black tab. Next is this one right here. Just gonna fold it a little bit, pull up on this tab right here, and insert this one in here. You'll hear it click, and then push down on the tab to secure it. Again, you'll barely make out the dotted line. And then lastly, let's go ahead and put this guy back in. And that's it. Let's put the back plate back on. And these cables right here, this one is gonna route out through this end right here. Just fold it over like this. You can kind of mold it into its shape so it can come out through there. And these two guys, just kind of lay them right here, right next to the board. Grab the back plate, connect the fan, And then we're going to rest this plate back over. And as you're putting it on, make sure that these two cables that you rested here don't get pinched. So when you put it back on, let me see something here. So when you put this back on, these cables, you should be able to tug on them. That's how you can make sure that they're not being pinched. So this will fold over like that, and this will come out through here. There'll be a small opening for this one right here. Let's go ahead and put these screws back on just to secure it. You can just make sure that these are still not pinched in here. You can tug on them. So these cables right here will fold over like that. This one right here will just come out like this. Go ahead and put that side bracket back on. So this guy comes out through here, and these cables come out through the opening here. And go ahead and put the screws back on. Alright, that's it. Go ahead and let's put the rest of the screws back on. So we have all those screws back on, and now we can put our bracket back on here. Remember, the felt black tape is going to be towards the top, and then we have two screws to put on here and the other two screws to put on there. So go ahead and put those on, and then we'll go back into the car to put this to install these cables in the monitor back on. Now let's work with the DCU main cable. Let's go ahead and route this through underneath here. So we can come up through here. You will connect this end to, there was the two white connectors up here. We'll connect this end to here. and go ahead and apply foam tape to that connection. That. You'll notice that there is another connector right here that says key. Key is not needed for this installation, so go ahead and just take that up. So key is not needed. Go ahead and tuck that back in. And this one, tuck it in through here. Next, let's work with the CarPlay mic cable. Go ahead and connect this end to the mic cable right here. You hear it click. Go ahead and apply foam tape to that connection as well. And route this cable behind all of these cables back here. So it can meet up with the rest of our connections right here. Let's go ahead and grab our monitor where we've already installed our subboard and we have our connectors right here. Let's first route these cables behind all of these cables right here. One. Here's the other one. Go ahead and reconnect these factory connectors back into place. Make sure you hear them click so you know they're secure. This one will connect here. And this one will connect here. Once see you guys. Once you have these connected here, go ahead and push these cables back inside. And you can put the screen back into place. Just gonna put one screw on just to hold it. Next, let's work with the iPod cable. This one we will be connecting. It's the only cable that you connect to the back side of the radio. I would highly caution you, please do not disconnect any of the connectors that you don't have to. All you need to do really is just disconnect this one to make it easier for you to access this cable right here. This one is where we would be connecting our iPod cable to. So go ahead and connect this guy right here. And apply foam tape to that connection. Like that. And then the other end, you'll be connecting here. And then you can connect this one back into place right here. Again, I would highly recommend don't disconnect these cables. If you do, white indicates that they're for the radio, versus the pink one down here, that's for the climate. These two are the same connectors, so don't confuse these two. Next, let's work with the CarPlay USB cable. You should have two cables coming off of it. This one's for the speaker. Go ahead and connect your external speaker. Like that. And this speaker, we're gonna end up just placing it above the factory radio, so that's not a problem. The other end, the USB, you'll be able to connect the USB cable. It's a female port. This is where the customer would connect their phone to. Go ahead and route it behind all of these connections. I'll show you later in the video, but you can have it, we normally have it above the tray area underneath the radio. Or if you have the optional USB extension cable, then you can install that optional USB extension cable right here. Just replace this original 12-volt cigarette charging port with the USB mount, and then the customer can connect here. But again, if you don't have that, then that USB, this USB will just rest right above the tray area. So I'll show you that later in the video. Next, it's time to route our CarPlay cables down into the footwell area right here. Go ahead and remove this panel. You don't have to take it off all the way, but you can if you wanted to. Our CarPlay module is going to end up in here. There's plenty of space for it to just sit here. So you're going to have the cables come out through here so we can connect the CarPlay module and put it over there. So that means all of these cables, go ahead and route them down into an empty cavity down there so you can have them come out through here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that we have our CarPlay cables routed through into this area, let's go ahead and start connecting them to our CarPlay module. So let's start with the connections down here. This is for the CarPlay MIC cable. Connect that here. You can ignore that. This is a connector for a different car, so don't worry about that. Next is the CarPlay USB cable. This one right here. Next is the iPod cable. Go ahead and connect this one here. Next is the UART, which is going to be this one right here. As you're connecting them, make sure you give them a tug to make sure they're not loose. Let's go ahead and work with these two next. We have our LVDS. We have our sub data cable. And then we have these two power cables last. This one will connect here. And lastly, this one right here. Now that we have all our connections set, you can go ahead and clean up your cables, but this CarPlay module, again, will just rest in here. You can go ahead and put this panel back on. And there you go. Let's go ahead and put our factory radio back into place. Remember, these connections remain up here. Our speaker is actually going to end up here as well. And then we have our two cables down here, along with our USB cable right here. So go ahead and just put this back on. And remember about the USB cable, if you have the USB extension, then that's optional. You can install that into the armrest compartment. And if you don't, then you can just simply tuck this cable back in here, and you'll have the CarPlay USB cable rest in this area right here. If you're going to install the optional USB extension cable, this is a USB mount where the customer can connect their phone to, as opposed to connecting to the USB here. We can have this installed right here in this port. This is the original 12-volt cigarette charging port, so we can install that here. So let's go ahead and remove this shifter panel here. Pull upwards. Be able to slowly just set this aside. You don't have to disconnect it if you don't want to. Let's just set this right here. Let's go ahead and remove the 12-volt cigarette charging port. There is a connector down here first that you can disconnect. Right here there's a cable for the 12-volt charger, so you can go ahead and disconnect that. And then you might be able to just simply push this out. Like that. Next, let's go ahead and measure this first. It probably won't fit into the hole. We'll probably need to make the hole just a little bit bigger. It is a little bit too big. You don't want to force it in because you don't want to ruin the thread here. So let's go ahead and make this hole just a little bit bigger. I'll be using this bit right here. And don't, again, just, you want to try making it just a little bit bigger. Don't make it too big because then it will be loose at that point. Let's go ahead and test out that size. You may want to pay close attention to this. The blue part of the USB should be facing up. So let's go ahead and try to insert this here. It is a perfect fit. Go ahead and grab this end so we can secure it. Feed this through up here. And go ahead and tighten as much as you can so this mount is not loose. As soon as you see it's loose and straight, you have the little cap here just to close it up if you needed to. Go ahead and take this end of the USB and let's see if I can move this just a little bit more. Our CarPlay USB, you're going to want to route it underneath all of this so it can meet up with this, and then you'll connect them here. So let me go ahead and work on that. Now that we have the USB cable routed through under here, let's go ahead and connect these two. Go ahead and secure it with electrical tape. To you can apply foam tape to the connection as well, just to insulate it. just clean up the excess cable. Go ahead and put this back on. And you can proceed with wrapping up the installation, but now we have our USB port installed right here, so we can connect our phones to that for wired Apple CarPlay and our auto connection. Now let's talk about the placement of the external speaker. Again, the speaker is just going to end up above here. I'm just going to go ahead and tuck the speaker back into this area right here. And now we are ready to put the bracket back on, put the screws back on, and reassemble everything for testing. Something to watch out for, when you put the bezel back on, make sure that the LCD is perfectly aligned. Sometimes the LCD may tilt when you're screwing things back on. So put the bezel back on and just check it. If you see it's tilted, then go ahead and adjust it by pushing up on the screen or down on the screen. And remember, as you're assembling here, we have this panel down here. Leave this last because we'll need to clip this one back into this panel right here. But don't forget about this connector right here. It has a pink band. This one will connect here. So don't forget about this one as you're reassembling everything back on. Then I'll be able to push this one back up. Here is our USB. And then we have our 3 connectors that will go to the main control panel here. Okay, we have reassembled everything. For this car, we did install the optional USB extension conversion cable, so we'll connect our phones to that port. I'll show you where it is in a second. But first things first, go ahead and connect your phone to the original Bluetooth because our system may still make use of the original Bluetooth for phone calls. So go ahead and do that first. Once your phone is paired, go ahead and test your phone with the CarPlay and or Auto. I'll be using iPhone, so I'll be making use of Apple CarPlay. I am not using the original Lightning cable. This cable does work fine, but I highly recommend that you use the original Apple Lightning cable. It's the more, that cable provides a more stable connection. Sometimes the charging cables don't have a good connection. So I mentioned to you that we installed the optional USB extension conversion cable. So our USB port is here. This is for our CarPlay. So if you want to connect to CarPlay, you must connect to it here. Otherwise, if you didn't get the optional extension USB conversion cable, then the USB cable would normally come out through right here, and it will just rest in the tray area, so you can just connect your cable to the CarPlay USB. So now that I've connected my USB here, I'm gonna run this through here. I'll go ahead and connect the other end to my phone. And as soon as you connect your phone, you'll notice that it starts charging. Apple CarPlay will show up right away. And then here it's gonna ask you a couple questions. Do you want to allow CarPlay while the phone is locked? That's a privacy question. It's up to you how you want to answer that. I'm just gonna press allow. Second question is important. Second question asks, let me lower the volume. I'll lower it in a second. But the second question asks if you want to enable wireless CarPlay. So if you want to do wireless, you can press on enable wireless CarPlay. If you want to do wired CarPlay, then press on USB only. As a manufacturer, we always recommend use the USB only option. Wired CarPlay, it's more stable, but we can also do enable wireless. So if you do enable wireless, leave your phone connected for, I would say, about 3 to 4 minutes. After that, you can go ahead and disconnect, and then the CarPlay system will be wireless at that point. I will also make another note. If you do use wireless as a primary driver, you can have your phone wireless, but all other drivers and passengers in the car, let them connect with the USB cable. That way the phones aren't competing for a wireless connection. Let's take care of the sound first. I'm just going to switch over to the CarPlay side, to the OEM side, by pressing and holding the back button right here. Reason why the audio is coming out through the little external speakers, because our radio's off, or we're probably in FM mode. So if you're in FM mode and you want the CarPlay audio to play through the car speakers, just go to audio and press on iPod. Now that it's an iPod, let's go ahead and switch back, and then you can press play on that song again, and you'll be able to hear it through all the speakers. So again, there's an external speaker behind this. So if you're not an iPod, then the audio will come out of that little external speaker. But if you are an iPod, then all the sound will play through the car speakers. So you saw you can control the CarPlay through the touchscreen right here. So we can go through the different apps. Again, you saw how to switch back and forth. Press and hold the back button right here to switch. Press and hold to switch. Let's test the reverse camera. Let's reverse camera. Let's put it back into park. Goes back to CarPlay. Again, for audio, we're playing it through the car speakers because we are in iPod mode. Let's also test the changing tracks. You can do that through here, here, here. This is to go a previous song, next song, previous. Volume, you can control it through here or through here. Same thing here or here. So up to you. To activate Siri, press and hold the menu button right here. Hey Siri, take me to the nearest gas station. So go ahead and test Siri by giving it a command. Yes.
Getting directions to Valero.
Let's go.
Starting route to Valero. Proceed to Red Hill Avenue, then turn left.
So these are that's our navigation instructions. Also for phone calls, because I mentioned earlier you do need to be connected to the original Bluetooth. Phone calls will go through the original Bluetooth. So press and hold Siri. Hey Siri, call 714-258-0400.
258-0400.
And that will make an outbound call. Use Siri to make outbound calls because Siri will remember to use the original Bluetooth. You can double check it here. Just press on audio and you see Pathfinder. It's using Pathfinder. That's the original Bluetooth audio. Hey, can you do me a quick favor? Can you call me back, please?
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. And then to receive incoming calls, press on the answer key right here. So I'll go ahead and press on that. And then let me increase my volume for Bluetooth because it was low. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and if the screen switches, you can always press and hold the back button right here to have it switch back. That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay.
Okay, bye. So, again, to recap, to make outbound calls, use Siri by pressing and holding this menu button right here and tell Siri to make that call for you. That will automatically route the call through the original Bluetooth. And to receive a call, press the answer button right here. Let's check out the wireless connection. So we'll go ahead and disconnect. And as soon as you disconnect, just wait for it. This is the back end of our system. This is our main menu. It's ready for Apple. It's ready for Android. When the connection is made, you would have noticed the little Apple CarPlay icon in the top right hand corner, and then CarPlay will appear wireless. If you're done testing, go ahead and let's reset all of the connections so we can deliver the car back to the customer. Press here. You can go back to car home right here. I'll just briefly cover this. If you need to adjust the volumes for Siri and the navigation, you can do it here in settings, audio, volume. You can adjust these settings if you had to, but the defaults are work perfectly fine. Please do not adjust the EQ. EQ will distort your volume, your noise. So just don't bother with that function right there. Let's reset our connections. You will scroll down to information and press on reset. Reset will reset all of the wireless connections to the CarPlay system. Now let's go ahead and go to our phone. Press on settings. Scroll down. Go to general. CarPlay. Press on CarPlay. And then press on forget this car. So now your phone has forgotten about the CarPlay connection to the CarPlay system, and the CarPlay system has forgotten about all wireless connections to it. So now a customer can go ahead and pair the phone back up again and start the process over to pair a new phone. And also make sure you press on go back to the original side and delete your phone from the original Bluetooth. But that's it.